Hey, welcome to the Sunday preview for this Sunday. Coming up, we have another reading from St. Luke's Gospel. And it's from chapter 17, and it goes like this. Jesus continued his journey to Jerusalem, and he traveled through Samaria and Galilee. As he was entering a village, 10 lepers met him. They stood at a distance from him and raised their voices, saying, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." And when he saw them, he said, "Go show yourselves to the priests." As they were going, they were cleansed. And one of them, realizing he had been healed, returned, glorifying God in a loud voice, and he fell at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. He was a Samaritan. Jesus said in reply, 10 were cleansed, were they not? Where are the other 9? Has none but this foreigner returned to give thanks to God? Then he said to him, "Stand up and go. Your faith has saved you." The Gospel of the Lord. So this is a story in the Gospel that's always seemed pretty obvious to us. Why were the other 9 such ingrates? Why wouldn't they go back to Jesus and thank him? Well, maybe they weren't so malicious. Maybe they ran home to their families to tell them first, and show them that they were cleansed. Maybe they did go to the priests, and make the offering, and be purified ritually. But the fact remains that only one returned. And it makes us think about all that God has done for us. And sometimes we have very little gratitude. We take it for granted, right? And how many times have we confessed serious sins and been forgiven and received God's forgiveness? And after a while, we maybe just take that for granted. When you read the great saints and mystics, they always remind us that, at one point, we had sinned, and maybe many times, and we deserved eternal condemnation. And it was only by the grace of God and the mercy of God that we received the grace to turn it around. Nobody can turn it around on their own. It's only through God's grace and love. And so gratitude for God's forgiveness is a big thing that we have to work into our spiritual lives always. Let's not forget that, because our default position is always, well, that was the past, and let's just move on. But it always came about, that conversion that we had, always came about through God's love and grace, and we have to give thanks. I think the second point in this is that the fellow that did give thanks to God was a Samaritan. And so those are the people that the Jews didn't accept. They were outside the house of Israel. The Jews considered them heretics and didn't accept them at all. But yet those are the people. That was the man that had faith and gratitude to Jesus. And so sometimes we who've always been inside the church, can take for granted our situation. And it's often the people that are outside have more gratitude to God. So let's remember that we need to always give thanks to God.